One.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. Usually when we have these announcements, we like to, talk for a little bit and say some stuff that's irrelevant to the announcement, but we're not going to do that now. So straight ahead to the announcement, Yaron.
You mean I don't get to say random stuff before I make the announcement?
We can say random stuff afterwards.
Okay, afterwards. Okay. Ayn Conferences Europe is going to be held this year in one of my favorite cities on planet Earth. The place I most like to hang out outside of the United States, certainly, maybe outside of home generally. And that is the city of London in the UK. And that's going to be on April 1st through 3rd in London. We're going to have the whole gang there for a full-fledged conference, hoping all of you guys come over from all over Europe. I'm expecting Georgians from Tbilisi, or anywhere in Georgia, actually. Why am I discriminating against non-Tbilisi Georgians? Ukraine, Bulgaria, Romania, I'm going to miss some countries. Anyway, everybody should come, including Western Europe. I know there are not a lot of you out in Western Europe, but you should also, all of you should come out as well. So yeah, it's exciting. London, April 1st through 3rd.
Yeah, I also want to say, and I'll say in a few minutes, why people should even travel from further away than Europe. But Nikos, do you want to give us a bit of context about what kind of content?
Yeah, all our Japanese objectivists, come on over. Absolutely. Why not?
It'll be worth the trip, Nikos.
Okay, so why London? For two reasons. One is to reward the British government for being the least tyrannic, not the best, because there is no best, but the least draconian government in Europe. So there's been an announcement that all restrictions are going to be taken away at some point within the next 2 weeks, which means, as it stands now, no tests for before the travel, no masks. So it is a choice which is relatively safe in terms of, hopefully not famous last words, but in terms of we will be able to travel, we will be able to have the conference without too much COVID restriction problems. The other reason, which is also very important, is to reward one of the best activists in Europe, if not the best, which is here with me. It's Mr. Razi Ginsberg, but also one of the most active objectivist communities, which is the community in the UK. So this is why London is an excellent place. One, you can feel confident that you can book your tickets and that the conference is going to happen without bad surprises. The other thing is that we will meet in a way, the European capital of the objectivist movement as well, with, again, the very vibrant London community and the UK community in general, which most of you will know from Ayn Center UK.
Yeah, and I'll have a bit more to say about that in a couple of minutes. But Nikos, people can also, yes, the answer to the super chat is yes, this is the Ayn Center UK offices, but it's actually one office and it's just me. The rest is WeWork and the other companies. For now, we can take that over as well.
Should have faked them out there, Razi. Yes, absolutely. This is the world headquarters of ARC Europe.
But
okay.
But yeah, I will say more about why people should see what we do here, and this is the best opportunity you've had so far. But Nikos, there are also scholarships available, right? Some people can actually have their whole trip to the conference paid for.
Yeah. So let's say something very quickly. Who is the ideal audience in some way for this conference? Obviously, people who are in the community and we're going to hang out and going to have a great time. But also those of you who are in a stage where you've read some Ayn Rand, you find it interesting, but then you wonder, how do I make the next stage? What's the next stop in my journey in these ideas that I find interesting? For example, for me, 3 years in reading objectives and reading Ayn Rand, I didn't know a single objectivist. The first objectivist I met in real life was Yaron in Battle of Ideas of 2014. So this is the chance for you to, first of all, hear more about objectives and how that
was in London. That was in London.
It was in London.
That was in London.
Every good thing happens in London. So you're going to hear from experts in objectivism, how it applies in your life, how it applies in the major issues of our time. but also at the same time, you will get some answers, maybe some guidance on how to further your engagement with these ideas. So particularly if you're a young person, consider applying for a scholarship. If you're an ambitious young intellectual, if you're an ambitious student who, again, you've just started engaging with objectivists, check out the website, check out the scholarship application. If you want any feedback or any advice or information, talk to me, talk to Razi. Don't talk to Yaron, probably he's going to be too busy with other things, but we're going to help you and we're going to make sure that we'll do our best for you to be in London.
Right. So this is basically to get a scholarship, you need to sort of be somebody who would or might consider doing the OSC soon, right? This is not like we're not going to have somebody walking down the street in Belgrade hanging out free plane tickets to London to anybody.
Yeah. So you have to show us that you're intellectually serious. That's the number one criteria, that I'm very much interested in these ideas. Now, whether you're gonna, you're not gonna sign a contract that, I got the scholarship, therefore I'm gonna do the Objectives Academic Center. But the idea is we want to make sure that if you're intellectually curious and on a path towards engaging more with ideas, understanding better ideas, we want you to be there. So this is a good tell that you might be eligible for a scholarship.
Now, I want to say a few things about what ARCUK is going to do around this conference and why, if you are traveling from afar, it would make sense to travel for more than just a weekend. But Yaron, you talk about London a lot, even without having a conference here. So do you want to tell people anything about why you love London so much and why they should visit?
Well, if you've never been to London, I mean, London is just a fascinating and really cool city. It's a combination architecturally of the modern, the early 20th century, the 19th century, the 18th century, the 17th century. You can find it all. It's one of the great walking cities in the world. And it's easy to get around. Both with I know I'm going to say taxis, and Razi's going to flip out because I'm not allowed to take taxis in London, according to Razi, but the taxis are great. The taxi drivers are great to talk to. You learn a lot about the UK by talking to taxi drivers. I knew Brexit was going to pass by talking to the taxi drivers. I mean, basically, they'll tell you what's really going on in the country. Uber is really easy to use as long as they continue to allow it. And of course, the subway is super easy and it gets you everywhere and you can get around. Great museums. Some of the best museums in the world are in London. And again, a wide variety, anywhere from Leonardo da Vinci to the pre-Raphaelites, all represented in London Museum. There's a great music scene, both if you like contemporary music or if you're civilized and like classical music. There's a wide array of venues and options. And then, as some of you know, I am a foodie. So if you want restaurant recommendations, happy to give you some list of some of the best restaurants in London and where to go. Depending on your budget. But I've been to London so many times and spent so much time. I mean, I typically spend 4 weeks a year, at least in London, it seems like. Maybe not during COVID, but even during COVID, right? 2020, in February 2020, I was in London, in Chinatown. That's when I first noticed everybody wearing masks. They were way ahead of us. Right? So it's a terrific place. It also, there are a lot of objectivists in London. And, maybe one of the greatest advantages of London versus any other European city is that pretty much everybody speaks some variants of English. And you can mostly understand them. I mean, almost all of them, unless they're from Ireland or Scotland, you can pretty much understand everybody's English there. So that it's easy to get around because, English is a language. And most of you, I think, wherever you come from around the world, speak English. So Razi, what's happening just before the conference that should encourage people to come?
So, and by the way, when we say people should come from afar, we're not kidding. This is not like a joke for the live streaming. We mean it. Even if you're from far away,
I'm
you
coming
should come.
all the way from Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So Razi,
And
tell us why.
And by the way, I will say I've never done a solo episode on the Daily Objective, but if I ever do, it'll be on why London taxi drivers are evil, and you should always take an Uber or one of their competitors in London. But that's
not
that's
good for our
different...
message today.
Nikos, this is a good reason never to let Razi do a solo on.
He's the boss. I have no control.
There's also actually
Dylan, who's here, he can pull the plug.
Actually, you can use the tube as well. The London Underground
Tube is great. Tube is great.
Gets you basically anywhere and quicker than a taxi or an Uber. But
and almost as regulated and controlled and subsidized as the taxi cabs are. Yeah,
true. But they're not. Well, anyway, we can just get into that at some point. But also, if you actually come to the hotel or the conference venue and never leave the area, there's so many great, like, this is, I think, the best area in London in terms of...
where is the conference?
So the conference is taking place in a hotel, in a very beautiful hotel called Leonardo Royal Hotel. It's around the area of London Tower Bridge. So it's a nice area. You'll see there are many tube stations around, many budget hotels around. So even in terms of where the conference takes place, it's convenient.
Yeah, I love the area. And by the way, I am in this area right now by choice. So
what's it called again, the hotel?
Leonardo Royal Tower Bridge. And so why should people be here for longer than just a conference is because in the days before the conference, ARCUK will organize events every evening during that week. So from Monday, if you're here from Monday, there's going to be a big event in the evening. We are going to bring, so ARI is sending several ARI intellectuals, and some of them will be here earlier than the conference and will be doing some events with us. We're also going to be bringing some people who are regularly on the channel. I'm not going to say yet who, but you will see in the coming days and weeks. And so that whole week will be filled with big events in the evening. We'll do some events, some daytime events as well. This is an area of restaurants and cafes, and we will organize things around all that. So it's definitely, if you're thinking of visiting London at some point, which I think everybody who hasn't been here probably has London on its list of places to visit, and everybody who has it on its list of places to come back to. Now is a great time to do so. As Nikos mentioned, all restrictions have been removed, and in March, right before the conference, from I think the 24th or the 26th, you actually won't legally have to isolate even if you test positive, which is not, I'm not encouraging people to necessarily come to the conference if they're tested positive, but it's not going to be illegal. So yeah, this is
So most importantly, if you're a student, if you're interested in objectivism, if particularly those of you who'd like to pursue an intellectual career, but even those of you who do not plan, but really want to get a good, solid understanding of objectivism or meet a lot of the objectivist intellectuals who you see on the Ayn Rand Institute website, or you see on the Ayn Rand Center UK channel here. This is a great opportunity to come out and spend 2.5 days and listen to talks and get to schmooze and do Q&As and just spend time with people. And then if you come the week before, as Razi said, there are going to be events, and you'll have opportunity to interact with again the intellectuals and local objectivists in the London area. I'm going to be there, but I'm going to be focused during that week on doing talks to high schools. But if I do any at universities, certainly those will be open to the public, and you guys will all be invited and be able to attend. Maybe we can do something at Oxford or Cambridge. That would be cool. We could all take the train out and see, because that's what we're doing. Take a day trip out to Oxford or Cambridge. Those are amazing.
Good. So this is the message. The website has gone live. So I assume it will be under events. So if you go to Ayn Rand Institute events, soon you will see it there. It's just gone live, so I'm not sure. Maybe there's a small time lag, but yes, register, apply for a scholarship, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah, there's just a few questions. So the super chat, Mary Aline says, I was in London in 1994. I assume the food has improved. Yes, I mean, I wasn't here in 1994.
Well, if you knew where to eat in 1994, it was already good. Now it's like 1,000 times better. It's world class. It's some of the best food in the world. Not necessarily the British food, but you don't have to eat British food in London.
Yeah, and the link to register is in the live chat, and it'll be in the description shortly. The price is the full price of the conference is $250 US dollars. It's $50 for students or people of a student age. I think if you're not a student but around that age, you can also get the student price. And yeah, ARC UK's events during that week will be free either for everybody or certainly free for ARC UK members and conference attendees. So yeah, and by the way, right next to the hotel venue, if you exit the hotel and take a left and walk 1 minute, or if you take a right and walk 1 minute, there are 2 travel lodges. So if you want to stay in London and not spend too much money, I think those are like 70, 80 US dollars a night. So yeah, and flights, by the way, are also cheap. I looked into it. You can fly from New York for like $350. So yeah, there's no excuses except that it's short notice. But yeah, it's worth making it happen even on short notice.
Okay, gentlemen. So let's keep this brief. We gave the message. Hopefully, maybe Razi, we can give periodical updates on things regarding the program. We're going to have the full program soon, the full lineup of speakers, both for the conference and for the build up, the week that Razi prepares for you. And it's going to be great. Some of the guests might be also even from other continents, but let's not spoil. I mean, Razi's guest, not the conference guest. But we're gonna announce
continents other than Europe.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. That is happening. But yeah, we will give details. I might do a weekly update, like 10-15 minutes, and we'll definitely update on the daily objective regularly as regarding any news that we have on the conference. So yeah, thanks again for joining us. Thanks, Yaron. Thanks, Nikos, and thanks everybody watching. Go ahead and register, and we'll see you in 2 months in London.